Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Harebrained Games, a special Christmas edition of games that are family and casual board games that I recommend you might consider for Christmas of 2025. I do this every year. It's whenever I do it, every year, which is at least every other year. But it's time to kind of look at some of the games that you might be interested in procuring that are new or somewhat new or been around recently. There's always the staple games. If you played Ticket to Ride or Llama or Splendor or King of Tokyo, those are ones that are sort of perennial evergreen kind of games. But I'm going to give you some suggestions on things this year that I think may interest you to bring to a family gathering or casual games that don't take an arm and a leg of mind time to play. So let's get going. This is an oldie but goodie. This is one that breaks my rule of trying to be within the last few years, and that is Quest for El Dorado. This is a Reiner Knizia game that takes the light deck building aspects of Dominion and adds to it a light traversal spatial puzzle of a game. Really well done in that you are always feeling like you're advancing forward. It plays great with 3 or 4. Wouldn't play it with 2 per se, but 3 or 4. You're using your cards. You're fueling your cards to go to different spots to make your way and journey. And literally, it's all about getting to the end spot. You get there, you win. Life is good. It's got a lot of different cards you can procure along the way as you pick them up. You can pay for, you get cards that have money. They help you buy cards that give you a little more travel, like on a canoe or or the forest or the desert or whatever. There's special abilities and things that you can do, but it's light enough that you can honestly just throw the cards out to the wind and say, yeah, let's just see what happens. It's pretty simple to go, hey, I've got a card that lets me go through forest. The next place closer to my destination is a forest, so use it. So let's go Quest for El Dorado. Not Dorito, that's different. It's El Dorado. Anyway, the next one is Sushi Go Party. This is one that came into vogue with my family this year because it's so darn delightful and simple. It truly is filler incarnate. You are not spending a lot of time playing this game. You wouldn't make an evening out of it, but you would go. And it's really simple. Take a card, pass a card. Take a card, pass a card. And what you're trying to do is build up little combinations that help you score the most points. It's more interesting when you look at other players and try and maybe ensure that they don't get the cards that are going to give them maximum bonus points and such. So it does get a little, for Sushi Go, it gets a little samurai-like sometimes, but that's another one to consider. If you have a chance to see this new game, Crossbows and Catapults Fortress War, it is fresh new. It's been Kickstarted. This is a game from years, like decades ago, playing as a youth and then playing with my son when he was a youth. It's as simple as it gets. You build up a tower and you flick discs and knock it over, and somebody wins and somebody loses and everyone has a good time. The new way that they've done it is they remove the rubber bands. It's actually done just using clever plastic engineering to give you the same velocity, but without having to replace the rubber bands every time they get old or someone gets a little too aggressive. Next we have a game called Spotlight. This is a really hard one to search for. Try searching for Spotlight and you're not likely to find it. It's an unsung hero of a game that hasn't been broadcast or advertised at all, but has some really interesting, clever play. We've already got the Micro Macro series where you're trying to just, solve puzzles on a big map with a lot of little people, the Where's Waldo kind of thing. This is different in that you have a little, you have your little placard, and your placard has basically darkness covering a picture. And when you have you get a little bit of a spyglass, just a cardboard piece, and it works brilliantly to give you a spotlight that you can use in a timer-based setting to go find out whatever's being asked of you to find. Find all the people that do this, find all the people that do that, and then you have a certain amount of time, and then you guess how many that you found, and each person gets a little bit of a little bit of an answer on whether they were correct or not, and then you do it again. There's little actions that make the spotlight smaller, so you got a look hard. Really cool to bring in. The first time people see it, they're just amazed at how this low-tech spotlight thing works. Really fantastic. So Spotlight, check it out. Harmonies is another game that just came up. It's brand new, and it's an abstract game. It's simple, but man, it does a good job of just being a I guess it's like a harmonious little game to bring to places that isn't gonna like stress your mind. It isn't gonna make you work real hard to it. It's not filler level per se, but it still gives a light feeling of being able to do meaty things in harmony on your turn. So next one is World Wonders. World Wonders has been around a while. It is a tableau. You're building out roads, you're building out pathways, and then you're putting wonders and structures in that. Not only is it interesting because you have the ornate, and I mean for the price point, the ornate structures are incredible. Just incredible level of structures, but it's also relatively simple to do. You're going to take turns, you're going to expend your currency and buy things and buy all kinds of, and certain, placement is limited, like you can only put this structure next to these or over here or whatever, but it never gets bogged down so much that you feel like you're city planning at the end of the day when you were a city planner all day at work kind of thing. So if nothing else, and for the delightful just architectures that you can wind up building, and people want to take pictures after they play this game. So the next one is First in Flight. Came out of nowhere and really, really amazed my group with how much fun it is. This is, if you played games in the past that have like a Celestia thing where everything's like everyone's going forward on this particular train or spaceship or airship or whatever, and then at certain points people are like, it's getting a little risky, I'm jumping off. But the longer you stay on, the better the reward for the risk. First in Flight is a game that teaches everyone how about the first era of flight, when people are trying to get their aircraft, their Orville and Wright aircraft, to fly as long as it can without crashing, and it does so brilliantly. The artwork is very evocative of that time period, and your push your luck is, it's mitigated by certain things. You don't wind up being like, if I crash then I'm out of the game. That's not how it works. You've got your mechanical aspect of trying to improve your plane. You've got your deck, similar to Quest for El Dorado, that you have a deck of cards that you can improve and build on, and then you're using that deck during flight to decide to try and fly as far as you can. Take the risks, and you get clues when you're getting closer to the idea that you might see disaster, you might not. So it doesn't just take you by surprise, and the very first card is crap. And so if you get a chance to find First in Flight, I don't think you're going to be disappointed in it. And then Monopoly Knockout. Not a big Monopoly fan. We all know this. It's never been my favorite game, but Monopoly Knockout, well, Monopoly Deal, I've run tournaments for Monopoly Deal. It's a card game that kind of encapsulates everything, and I've had a blast with that. Monopoly Knockout is shuffleboard Monopoly, and it works really, really well. You are flicking your disc, and where you land, you get properties, you get points, whatever. It's about, I got it for $15. And you want to have a flat table, you really do, but you don't necessarily have to worry about it too much. But it is a raucous, fun, 30-minute experience of dexterity incarnate that leaves you with a lot of joy that playing Monopoly, for me, never did. So, and finally, this list would not be complete without the quintessential game that I think brings anyone to the table that can play in any group amount, and that is Ready, Set, Bet. Ready, Set, Bet is a real-time horse racing game, and you'll want to use the app, and the horses will run along, and you place your bets. The earlier you place your bets, the more trust you're going to have that a particular horse isn't going to wind up being out in the lead and then turn out to be behind. But the more you get closer to the finish line, the more bets are going to be cordoned off. Like, you can't bet. It's too much towards the end of the race. And so, or if someone else places a bet where you thought you could because they got there first, they took that risk, they get their reward. It's horse racing without losing your shirt. So, and that's it. Those are the casual games that I recommend for Christmas of 2024. What are some I missed? What are some games you guys are planning to pull out and throw on the table for your kinfolk? So let me know. Take care, and we'll see you next time on Harebrained Games.